everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Audi A6 Allroad, and many thanks have to go off to Glenmore Audi that allowed me to play with their demo model for a couple days so I could make this video review. With this Allroad, it is obviously a wagon and outbackerized, and that's really, unfortunately, one of the only ways that we get wagons in North America. Of course, there is the much more hardcore RS6 Avant, which is more aligned to what the European vehicle market would get for a standard wagon, but of course that's the hot version. Out here in North America, if you're buying a utility vehicle like this, it seems as though buyers are only interested when there's some real ruggedness added into it. And in the case of the A6 Allroad, there have been some important changes that will get, I think, enough people into the dealership to check out a vehicle like this if they're planning to take their A6 Allroad on some hiking trails, on some long dirt back roads where there isn't any serious off-roading, but you don't have proper paved tarmac. So, things to address. With the Allroad, it's air suspension only in Canada, and with that you're going to have an additional 1.2 inches of ride height built into the suspension system, so that is encouraging. So you are going to have an advantage going on those rough roads in this Allroad as opposed to a standard A6. The things that have changed for the looks, we have some body cladding around the sides of the vehicle. You see that there is a little bit of an extension of a side sill, even though it doesn't make the car any wider. The face has a little bit of a deeper chin, and round the rear it's kind of giving off the ruggedized look, and there are no exhaust outlets. It's just hidden down behind the plastic. And when it comes to my criticism of Audi making fake exhaust outlets, it's actually a relief to be in here and say that that fake integration of a design isn't featured here in this A6. Couple other quick things: you do have a slightly different grille pattern to a normal A6, and you get roof rails built in as standard equipment. And you can play the A6 Allroad styling against or for you, depending on what it is you're looking for in this segment of vehicles. So with that body cladding, you can have it paint matched for $1,000, and this vehicle color is called Firmament Blue, and you'll notice that it isn't a metallic paint on the body cladding. It isn't matte, but it's a flat paint. So hopefully that means it will be a little more durable if you are taking it up gravel roads. Otherwise, you're going to have a polished black look for the body cladding around the wheel arches most specifically. Apart from the obvious shape and layout of the A6 Allroad, I haven't noticed any other differences when it comes to how things are put together or any of the options available in the Allroad, except for one thing, and that's that when you go from your drive select modes, you now have the off-road and all-road mode settings. And this Audi A6 Allroad actually has the Quattro Ultra system, which means when you're doing cruising down a highway, let's say, the power to the rear axle is actually disconnected, making this a strictly front-wheel drive vehicle for the sake of fuel efficiency. So going into all-road and off-road mode is going to set a fixed amount of power to that rear axle, and you want the flexibility of more power being sent to each wheel, then those are the modes you're going to select. In the normal A6, you have two engine choices currently. You have a 2-litre 4-cylinder or a 3-litre V6. In the case of the Allroad, we only have the turbocharged 3-litre V6 that makes 335 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. It is the 48-volt mild hybrid setup, so if you refer to any of my other videos testing out some of the larger, more premium Audis, I've gone at length discussing what that means, and here, no difference, nothing really more to discuss. But the biggest thing to note that's different in the powertrain is that this has a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, and when you're going up the gears, it doesn't really feel any faster or snappier or more efficient than the 8-speed ZF that's in almost all other Audi products. What you really notice the difference though is if you stomp on the throttle, it's going to drop a lot more gears a lot faster. Of course, that's how a dual clutch works in benefit, so that it has a little more rapid response. So that is fundamentally the biggest thing to report in differences between this A6 and all of the other Audi products I've tested out. That dual clutch transmission, when it's left alone, You wouldn't even know it was a dual clutch. It doesn't lurch or really grind on the gears like some older units would do. Shifting manually, again, I haven't really noticed a difference on the upshifts, definitely on the downshifts though, but in a vehicle like this, or something that's as laid back as the all-road, I doubt people are going to want to be spending much of their time with the sport shifting or the dynamic mode. But you will want to spend as much as your time driving this A6 because it is maybe the most comfortable Audi that I have driven. And I think the biggest contributor to that is that because we're low to the ground, we have less wheel travel in the suspension, is that it doesn't rock around as much on rough pavement. And as I said, the air suspension is a standard setup for the all-road, and it just turns this vehicle into a total grand tourer. If you're doing a long distance trip with some of your friends, then this kind of a vehicle, this wagon layout, could be really, really desirable for you. In this particular model I'm driving, we have the dual pane glass, so it's even quieter. And traveling along at 80 kilometers an hour now, it's whisper silent. The loudest thing in the cabin right now is the ventilated seat that I have on. Even though I'm in a top trim model, you'll notice that the leather isn't as rich as something like the Q7 that I tested out. Unfortunately, you do have to pay extra to go through the higher standard of leather that will be on all of the surfaces in the car. And I mean, what is here isn't at all bad, but it is undoubtedly nice to the touch and is deeply padded. And this being a wagon, what you really care about is the second row capability and the trunk space. I'll quickly say that with the second row, as someone that's 6'4", I can happily sit behind myself, even though the knee room and foot room is a little bit tight. Don't have 3 people abreast back here, as the transmission tunnel is quite substantial. It's nice that the second row of passengers do have a pane of glass to look up into the sky. Obviously, we're looking at a vehicle that doesn't have the capability of having a full sunroof, which at the end of the day, I personally don't mind, and it is nice that we at least have something back there for second row occupants to enjoy. For the trunk space though, there is a lot of versatility in the all-road. It's obvious that it isn't as squared off in the back like some of its Volvo competition, so it isn't going to be as practical, won't have as much space as those competitors, but there is a lot of interesting functions back there. First of all, the 3 seats can fold independently. You can reach to the seat backs and drop them, or you can use the little handles on the side to drop those down. You have 2 built-in covers in a way for the A6 all-road. You have one that can separate the boot space from the actual cabin space through this netting, and if you were to do that, I imagine that's because you have a big dog that you put in the back of your all-road and you don't want them slobbering all over your leather seats. The other one is the traditional security cover you see in any other wagon or SUV, and it's really neat that when it is folded back into that position, there's little motors that catch onto that lip and will push it back when you open up the boot lid. Clever design feature that I don't think I've ever seen that before in a vehicle. So even though I feel like I'm not really saying much in the way of the Audi driving experience, and this isn't a rude thing to say, I think, towards Audi, this isn't a slight towards them, it is very much a cookie cutter experience for all of their vehicles, with this engine, with this suspension, and really this layout. If you like one, you'll like the rest, and it's only going to be up to you and your lifestyle to find what vehicle you're going to go for. Do you need to carry more than 5 passengers? Then you've got to have the Q7. Do you want something that's a little more design focused? Then go for the Q8. But if you just want a normal sedan, then the A6 will be a very good option for you. And as someone that does a lot of highway miles, really the biggest difference to me in a vehicle like this is that I am lower to the ground, even though the seat mounting point is definitely higher in this than it would be in an A6 or an A7. I know plenty of buyers out there want that commanding driving position of an SUV. Personally, not really something I need. I mean, the headroom is a little bit tight in this vehicle, but not enough to make me feel like I'm cramped or I have to duck down to look out the windshield. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on the A6 Allroad, a very, very compelling vehicle, and For someone like me that has a little bit of a bias towards wagons, I mean, I'm a car guy, I'm a car journalist, of course I do. I would love to be in a vehicle like this. It's a vehicle that I would very happily have in my stable. If I was doing just long highway cruises and nothing else, the A6 sedan would be the better choice. But if I had needs to put a lot of people in the back seats on regular occasion, or I had the kind of massive shopping trips that would warrant the need for a wagon, then the A6 Allroad is a fantastic choice and worthwhile going for a test drive. Thank you very much for taking the time to watching this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and many thanks have to go off again to Glenmore Audi for making this video possible. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Hope to see you again soon.